Okay, today we're going to be working on shoulder flexion, which is the movement of the arms above the head. We're not going to spend a ton of time rotating today, but it's a good idea to do shoulder rotation work before shoulder flexion work. So if you're taking this on as a project, definitely consider doing some shoulder internal or external pails and rails before you do what we're going to do today. So you're going to start seated or standing. I'm going to go seated just because my light here is a little difficult. And we're going to do some shoulder cars. This is a band I've been using to load shoulder cars recently. This is optional, but if you have a band, it's nice. You know to load your cars if you can maintain perfect form when you are loaded. So that means A, you have to have good form in the first place, and B, you have to not lose that form when you add the load. So I'm going to demo and you can decide. A band is nice for this. The same band you can use for hinge point training for your spine. You're going to hold it palm forward at the end of the rope, a little pinky finger forward. You're going to hold with the other hand, and you may have to practice a few times. And then what you're going to do is you're going to bring your other arm down by your side. Whoops, I'm losing my mobility stick. I'm actually going to do this tall kneeling because my arm is a bit too long for short kneeling. Starting, as always, with your shoulder car, external rotation across the body, and you're trying to create fairly constant tension here that you're working against if you're using the load. If you're not using the load, same thing. You need constant tension in your shoulder car, reaching around behind you, keeping your elbows straight. If you're using the load, you are adjusting your position with your left hand to continuously have tension and resistance in your right shoulder. Coming around into external rotation, just like always, crossing across your body, sweeping down by your hip back to where you started. And again, external rotation and a deduction, coming up, over, rotating against the load or just with your own mind creating that resistance, working fairly hard here as a warm-up, coming into deep internal rotation, pinky finger faces forward. Then coming straight back up into extension, resist the pull of the band as you come up if you're using it. Slowly and completely externally rotating through your shoulder, keeping that elbow straight, coming across, and then back to where we started. Other side. If you're using the band, start by pinky finger facing the outside of the band, end of the band, palm facing forward, then bring your hand down into this externally rotated position, pulling with your right arm now to create that resistance, coming across your body, maintaining that straight elbow as you come into rotation, resisting as you come into extension, really feeling that rotation, and continuing until your pinky finger faces forward by rotating your shoulder. Straight up to an extension, rotating through. And then coming into your external rotation to cross your arm across your body to finish. One more time, maybe increasing the tension, trying to increase the range every single time. It's very easy to fall into complacency with our cars, just like with everything in life. And you want to always be thinking, how can I make this a little bigger? How can I find the end of my range? How do I increase my range? How do I get to those outer limit cells that never get the love that they deserve, just as much as our inner limit cells, coming all the way across and down. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed that variation. It might take some time to get the hang of if you're working on it, but it's well worth it to start exploring loading once you've been doing cars for a while. Now we're going to do this in quadruped. You can absolutely do this standing as well. Again, I'm staying down because my light situation is challenging in this new but beautiful location. All right, so from quadruped, you're going to hold your stick straight out in front of you. The same thing would be standing. You just want to find your kind of most complete shoulder flexion, watching as always for not letting your ribs drop. So you're managing your ribs here, managing your elbow. You may find some sensation of pinching in the top of your shoulder here, in which case what you're going to do is you're going to move your arm more out to the side. I'm just going to shuffle my body more over to the other side, It doesn't really matter which way you go, but basically arm comes out wider if you feel pinching in the top of your shoulder. And then you can just sink down into the stretch a little bit and see if you can find a sensation of stretching through that whole underside of your arm, your lats, armpits, wherever you feel it on the bottom side of your body is what we're looking for. And stretching is very individual, so you can play around to find the load that works best for you here. You can also change your grip on the pole. You can change the rotational relationship between your arm and your shoulder. I'm working on a little bit of external rotation here, but it's actually kind of tough with my grip. So do what you can to find a good spot for you. We're going to move right into our pails and rails here. If you would like, you can squeeze a yoga block between your knees to help you remember to irradiate your whole body. Create tension through your whole body and then squeeze your shoulder. Just before you even start your pails, just squeeze like you're making a fist with the muscles around your shoulder joint. And now gently start pressing your stick into the ground. So the pails is stick into the ground. The rails will be trying to lift your stick up, or your shoulder, your hand, I guess, up from the ground. Starting to drive the stick into the ground a little harder now, working up to your safest, greatest, maximum effort as smoothly and as controlled a way as you can. Holding now at your 100% safe effort, trying to really drive your stick into the ground here, making sure you're not unconsciously bending your elbow, so keeping your whole arm nice and locked. And then on my count, we're going to switch to rails and try to lift up. So 3, 2, 1, squeeze the stuff on the back of your arm. Try to lift your pole in the air. Try to move your hand higher on your pole. Don't move your body. Squeeze your block if you've got one in between your knees. Focus on the top of the shoulder stuff, back of the shoulder stuff. Really trying to lift here as much as you possibly can. Lifting, 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 and then relax that down. If you can now, work into a tiny bit more flexion and breathe. We're seeking that nervous system assistance by relaxing into the stretch as we increase the stretch. So nice slow breath out. That's your parasympathetic lever. Slower breath out than in. It's rare that you get something that seems so straightforward, so there's probably a catch to it. All right, let's go into a second round of pails and rails. So exact same thing. Firm everything up in your body, squeeze your yoga block. Squeeze your shoulder like you're making a fist around your shoulder joint. And now start driving your pole into the ground. Feel your lats, feel the inner armpit stuff, side body stuff start to work. Dial up the tension all the way from your 20 to your 40 to your 60 to your 80 to 100% of what you've got that's safe and feels good for your body right now. Holding here. Focus on maintaining the exact same amount of tension the whole time. Try not to waver. Stay solid. And on my count, we're going to rails. 3, 2, 1. See if you can lift up. See if you can lighten the pole on the ground. Don't move your body. Just use the stuff on the back of your shoulder, back of your arm. Lifting straight up in the air. Trying to get more flexion. So key for hanging. Kind of lifting, 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 and then relax that out. Take a breath. Nice deep breath into your rib cage. Slow breath out. All right, we're going to do a few lift-offs here. So lift-offs with the stick. I think it's easiest to move your hand down a few inches, and then instead of lifting the whole stick, just hold the stick lightly and try to lift your arm up. That's probably not high enough for me. I seem to be cheating. So go down to where you get a little bit of travel. And then what you're going to do is you're going to firm everything up. You're going to squeeze your block. You're going to squeeze your body, squeeze your shoulder. Lift your arm as high as you can actively. Hold that there. Straighten your elbow. Keep your elbow straight. Hold, 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 hold. And then lower it down. Relax for a second. Firm everything up again. We're going to do 3 of those. So holding, squeezing, squeezing your elbow, squeezing your shoulder, lifting as high as you can, holding here for 3, 2, 1. Relax that out. Let it go down a little bit. You want to definitely have a little travel here. So find a place that works for you. Now, firm everything up, irradiate core tension, squeezing the block, squeezing your shoulder. Lift your arm up, 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 any amount. Hold it. Don't do this by bending your elbow like I want to. Hold, 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 hold. And relax. Come back down. Place your stick on the ground. Whoops. It's a very long stick. We should have gotten it cut. Okay, we're going to do one more exercise in flexion. Lift your arms straight up in front of you as high as you can, kind of where we just were. Keep your tricep stuff, back of the arm stuff firm, and start making little circles for me. One direction, make them with your shoulder, not your wrist or your elbow. Pretend they are tracing the outline of a tennis ball. The roundest, smoothest, tennis ball-less size circles you can for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause and reverse. Tennis ball size circles. This is always a time thing and not a count thing, so I want you to go slowly, and I want you to make your tennis balls as beautiful as possible. They will probably be tennis squares, but do your best. Let that down. Shake that guy out. That's a lot of work. We're going to switch sides. Nice job. Pails and rails for the win. Okay, so your stick is in your other hand. You're in your quadruped or you're standing. Exactly the same setup either way. Of course, in standing, you might want to be in a forward bend or not. You can play with positioning with this stuff. So if quadruped isn't working for you right now, find something that does. Whew. I went surfing this morning, and we've been surfing a bunch, and so I can really feel my shoulder shaking right now. So this might look a little funny. Maybe I need to come out a little bit of my range, and I'm holding nice and tightly here. Now, if you're somebody with hypermobile shoulders, you can still do this exercise. You're just not going to do it in end range. You're going to come out of it to a place that you can for sure control, and then you're going to do the pails and rails movements without actually moving. So you might prefer to do this with a fixed pole that you can pull up against without actually creating any movement. And then that becomes a positional isometric. You could also skip the stretching part and maybe just do more isometrics while I'm talking during the stretch. Either way, we're all going to get into doing the pails and rails now. So, firming up, squeezing your block, squeezing your core, irradiating, everything tenses. Shoulder muscles tense around the joint. Start pressing the pole into the ground, 20%. Working your way smoothly up that dial all the way to 80 to 100% of what's safe for you today. Elbow stays straight, shoulder is doing all the work here, pressing straight down, nice and hard, holding at your 100% maximum. Again, stay steady, keep the tension constant, keep the back of your arm stuff squeezing, keep squeezing your block, keep squeezing your core. On my count, we're gonna rails. 3, 2, 1, rails, lifting up here. Lifting up, holding, lifting, holding the back of your arm, working hard here. 100% effort for the rails, trying to get more flexion, holding, and now relaxing down. Maybe working your hand up your pole a little bit, staying where you are. If you have a hypermobile shoulder, if you don't, you want more flexion, you want to be at the end range of your stretch. See if you can feel the stretch in your lats, so you can be a little heavy with your upper body to get that passive stretch. Just don't make it about dropping your ribs completely. My other hand is pressing firmly into the ground so that I'm not just collapsing into my shoulder blade. And as you're stretching, you're always trying to find your deepest stretch. You're trying to take your breath into that stretch, and you're trying to relax into that stretch. Let's move into our second round of pails and rails. Squeezing your block, tensing your core, pressing your other hand into the ground, pressing down with the stick, 20%, 40, 60, 80 to 100% of what's safe for you right now. I just felt a pinch, so I adjusted my position. Feel free to be in control of this for your own body. Holding and pressing and working for a few more seconds here. 100% of your safest effort. 3, 2, 1, and try to lift up. Can you lift your pole any amount, maybe or maybe not. Just trying 100% effort to get more flexion. Squeeze the stuff at the back and top of your shoulder. Feel your shoulder. Connect to it. This is about connection as well. Really get awareness and then relax. Couple more breaths into the stretch. See if you can feel length through the underside of your arm, body, side, armpit, any of it. Okay, now we're gonna come out. So everyone comes out, not just our hypermobile folks. So you're out of your end range and we're gonna lift up actively here. So firm everything up, whole body squeezes, block squeezes, arm presses into the ground, lift straight up as high as you can and hold. This is totally fine if you're hypermobile, it's very active. Holding, squeezing, squeeze the back of your arm stuff. Don't make this about an arm bend. 3, 2, 1, lower down. Not lowering too much will usually make this harder. So you want to be close to your end range, but not in it. Deep breath, irradiate, hold tension, hold your shoulder, lift any amount. Body doesn't move, it's just about your shoulder. Keep that elbow straight. 3, 2, 1, relax. We've got one more of these to go. Deep breath, squeezing, irradiating, holding tension, pressing into your other hand, and lift. 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax that down. Try to put your stick down without bashing it down to the ground like I did. And then staying here for one round of circles. The circles are the hardest. Okay, so arm is straight out at your end range or close to it. Start circling tennis ball size at your hand. That means you're thinking about controlling at the shoulder. Very small movement. If you can do this in front of a mirror, that might or might not be helpful. Try not to move the rest of your body so you're still irradiating hard. You're making this the smoothest circle you can. Really trying to build your control at this end range here. And then on my count, we're going to reverse. 3, 2, 1. Reverse your direction. Try not to let your hand drop. Keep the height you started at. Keep the position you started at, except for that small circular movement. Keep going. Slow it down. Smooth it down. Try to make it really beautiful. Whew. All right, that was awesome. Let's do a little bit of a just loosey-goosey shoulder stretch, hands in front, a little side-to-side movement. This is the flexion we've been working on, right? So hands pressed down, feel a stretch through the underbody, lift lower ribs up. I don't even care what's happening with your pelvis right now. And we're gonna come out of there. Awesome. So if you want a little extra, now would be a great time to do some rotational axial cars. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed that. In terms of home practice, I would suggest, if you feel ready for it, trying loading your shoulder cars with a band as your home practice. Otherwise, I think with all these Pails and Rails classes, they're a nice one if you want to put this into your mobility practice. So there's no particular homework, just use it if you feel like you need more flexion, but don't forget to work rotation before flexion. Okay? Thank you for joining me, and I will catch you in the next class.